UFC Vegas 107 goes down this Saturday night, and it features a big one between Erin Blanchfield and Maycee Barber. Don't want to miss that one. That's going to have big implications on that specific division. But the biggest fight of the weekend, biggest fight, lightweight division, best division in the UFC, Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein. It's like 24-3 versus 23-4. So you might as well just flip a coin. It's a toss-up and make a pick. So we're going to struggle through that pick, but we'll give you who we believe is going to win. Also, John Jones continues to hold up the heavyweight division. Merab Dvalishvili posts photos of his injury, but says he's good to go, and even goes further to say, hey, I want to fight 2 more times. I want to defend the title 2 more times this year, which is a big shot toward Sean O'Malley, because Sean O'Malley's preparing to win the fight. So Merab wouldn't even be the champ if the Sugar Show has his way. And also, I know what you guys have said. We don't want to hear any more about Conor McGregor, but you might want to hear about this. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor, the trilogy. Does anyone care? We'll find out. We got these topics and more next.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
What up? What up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the TC MMA podcast, and we got a couple of topics to talk to you about before we get into Vegas 107 predictions. And we got 4 of those for you today. So stay tuned, because that's coming up here in just a few. But first, we got to get into what's going on with John Jones. I'm not going to tell you anything new, right? He continues to hold up the division. We've been saying this for years, but all types of fighters are coming forward and saying, hey, what's going on here? I mean, what is going on? Well, what's happening is Tom Aspinall is just being made to wait. John Jones does this fight after fight after fight. He doesn't need the money, right? Of course, he wants the money, but he can wait a few months. He gets paid big bucks. And when he fights, people are coming to watch. He's making a lot of money in one fight every year, every 2 years. So that's why he was able to wait and get right for the heavyweight division for 2 or 3 years before he fought. Well, guys like Alexander Volkov and others are saying, hey, we're frustrated. Everybody is waiting. You're holding the division up, right? And that's not like an exact quote. I'm just telling you, this is what the fighters are talking about. You're holding the division up. So then there's calls to strip John Jones of the heavyweight title. That is not going to happen, right? John Jones has special rules that are made just for him. So that title is not being stripped. We're going to see John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, right? But we just keep repeating the same history with John Jones. He's going to make you wait a year or two. You're gonna be rusty, right? And they're saying, hey, be careful of going through the same thing that Michael Chandler went through, and that's that you wait on Conor McGregor, and then he never actually fights. But this is different because there's a title on the line. John Jones is either going to have to fight at some point or retire. So that's where we're headed with that. Now, as we move forward, you got some other big topics. Let's get into Merab Dvalishvili first. Okay, this guy posts photos of an injury. You see, I know you guys have seen this by now. The toe, it does not look good, right? But he's done this before, right? Had injuries going into fights, but he's got still 2 weeks. That thing is going to heal up. Not perfect, but it'll heal up enough. His coach was on Submission Radio, and he says, I can't win with that guy. I literally leave for a day and something goes wrong. He loves to rile everyone up. And the thing is, as much as people think that it's stupid or this or that, he would never post something that's going to take him out of a fight. So Dvalishvili's coach is saying, hey, the photo that he posted is not going to take him out of a fight. He's not that crazy. He's not going to do something that would risk the fight. But he does post things of what's happening right now. And we know he went into the last fight with Umar and had an injury and held it from the commission, right? Which is the commission's fault. He tricked the California commission. He got into the fight, and we all know that he still looked good and fought well and beat Umar. So this is not something, and his coach is saying the same thing, it's going to slow him down. But I can relate to the coach. I'm a coach myself. And if you turn your back for 1 minute on your athletes, or in this case, your fighters, they are going to do something crazy. They're going to do something crazy, And the crazy always results in an injury in a situation that shouldn't even happen. Now, at least Merab is, he's training, he's doing things like that. So sometimes, and I don't even know, I haven't read far enough to know how this toe situation has come about, and it's his right, little toe, if you will. So there is going to be some pressure on it during the course of the fight when you're moving side to side. I mean, it's right there where you put a lot of pressure, but it's not going to phase Merab. It's just not. This guy's, these guys train for this. They're going into fights with some sort of injury almost every time. You're almost never 100%, and it's not going to slow him down. Because in the same breath, Merab is also saying, hey, I want 2 more title fights this year. And what does that say about the Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley, who's waiting to fight for the title, but Merab saying, hey, I'm going to beat you without even having to say that, and then I'm going to go defend the title 2 more times this year. He wants to be the most active champion in the UFC. And guess what? If he did beat Sean O'Malley, the UFC would welcome that, because it's hard to fill pay-per-view events, especially going back to what we were talking about John Jones a minute ago. If you have more champions like John Jones, the UFC would have to set some rules in how often these title fights have to take place. But you got to respect others, like in the light heavyweight division where we had 3 or 4 champions inside the same year, because 2 of them decided, hey, I'm not going to be able to fight for 6 to 8 months, so I'm going to go ahead and relinquish the title, and then I'll try to come back and get it. John Jones says, no, I'll just hold on to it for 18 months, 2 years, and put the whole division on hold. But fortunately, Merab Dvalishvili is not that way, and he wants to fight as often as possible, because guess what? Dvalishvili is still young in the game somewhat. He needs the money. John Jones doesn't. So yeah, you're going to see some of these champions wanting to fight a lot when they start seeing that money come in, especially if they're defending the belt. You got the belt, the next fight's going to be even bigger, right? That's the way it goes. Now, Conor McGregor has been in and out of the news constantly. We don't really cover it because the fact is we're getting tired of covering it. Conor McGregor is one of my favorite fighters, always has been. But it's just got to the point where it's not realistic that he's ever going to fight for the title now. So that means that I don't really care on some level. But Nate Diaz is calling him out. And I don't know how realistic this is, because Nate Diaz is also calling out Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria. Definitely not fighting Ilia Topuria. Max Holloway, if he loses and he's not in title contention, maybe. Max Holloway might go in there and just whoop up on Nate Diaz. But Diaz versus McGregor, I could see that happening. Right? The UFC is reluctant to give McGregor a fight until he signs a new contract. But those days, it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, okay, you're going to lose McGregor at some point. Might as well get the 2 fights in rather than nothing. So it's going to get to that point. But Diaz versus McGregor, even though both guys aren't even in the hunt at all and will never fight for a title again, in my humble opinion, the UFC would still love to see that trilogy. And quite frankly, that could probably headline a pay-per-view event. I mean, it would have to. But then it's also, the people are going to be upset because it's like these two have nothing to do with being in title contention. Are people really going to pay for it? Yeah, they will, because of the names. And just the fact they're fighting each other, it doesn't matter if they're in title contention or not. The reality is neither one will ever be again. It doesn't seem that way. So this is the next best option, and we get to see the guys fight. So hey, we'll take it. That seems to be the way that this thing is going. You asked, and we delivered. The TCMMA merch shop is now live.
Yes!
And we got all different types of products, including hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and if you drink coffee, we got coffee mugs too. You better believe it. But what's trending right now is the new Brazil shirts. Don't invite Brazil to the party, because if you do, Brazil is going to win 9 times out of 10 and wreck the party, especially in MMA. That's for sure. These products will help grow the show. So if you support the show, get you a product, a t-shirt, a hat, a hoodie, or something along those lines. This your boy, Chris Cross. All right, so UFC Vegas 107, which means it's at the Apex Center, right? Goes down this Saturday night. And it features Erin Blanchfield and Maycee Barber, which is obviously a huge fight in the women's flyweight division because it's 13-2 versus 14-2. We're going to get into that prediction in a minute. You also got Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein. Can't say enough about that fight. But first, we got four fight predictions for you today, okay? And the first one we're going to get into is a middleweight showdown between Zachary Reese, who's 8-2, and Dusko Todorovic, who's 12-5. This is USA versus Serbia. And, you know, these are two big guys, right? You're talking 185 pounds. They're probably walking around at 200, 205. And it's two guys that could still get in the mix. But when you see fights like this, you realize, man, this is important. Like, this is a must-win situation for both. So let's get into it right now. In the middleweight division at UFC Vegas 107, you got Zachary Reese taking on Dusko Todorovic from Serbia. So American versus Serbian. Reese is 8-2. Dusko 12-5. Reese, 3 inches taller, is 6'4". Both guys 31 years old. Reese, 3-inch reach advantage, 77-74. He's a switch stance fighter, always an advantage. Dusko Todorovic stands right-handed. Both guys right around 5 significant strikes per minute, although Todorovic has a slight advantage there. He's a little above 5 per minute, but the bottom line is both guys, put out a lot of output, very active on the feet. Now, Reese lands more than 1 takedown per round. Todorovic gets 1 every 3. So takedown defense will be important. Reese, 33%. That's not good. Todorovic, 45. That's not good either. So both guys have a problem defending takedowns. Reese is coming off the loss to Azamat Bikoyev by first round KO. Everybody wanted to see what Azamat could do. We now know. And Reese was on the bad side of that one. But he beat Jose Daniel Medina before that by decision, dominated 5-1 on takedowns and on the feet, 75-32. Beat Julian Marquez by first round KO in 20 seconds. So he's capable and has the power to finish you. Now, Todorovic lost to Mansour Abdul Malik by first round KO. Christian Leroy Duncan, aka CLD, first round KO. He beat Jordan Wright by second round KO and lost to Chidi and Njokuani by first round KO. So 3 of the last 4 fights he lost by first round KO. That makes this one simple. Zachary Reese has the ability to finish you. Both guys can be finished, but to me, Zachary Reese is a little bit better. I'm banking on him to get the finish more than I would Todorovic. That's what I think is going to happen here. Zachary Reese gets the early finish first round, maybe early second round, but yeah, he's moving to 9-2 in my opinion here. Middleweight division, UFC Vegas 107. Yeah, so that's the way we see this thing going, right? I mean, you got two, I don't want to say high level, but quality fighters to say the least going at it. And you got to make a prediction. Now, it's an easy one for us. Reese is the favorite. Um, you know, if one of the guys is going to get finished, it's more than likely that Reese is going to do the finishing, right? But you do got to be careful with Todorovic. I mean, the guy's got 12 wins. He does have 5 losses. But Reese is just 8-2. So, I mean, you got 17 fights versus 10. The fight can really go either way. It's probably closer than 2-1 in either direction. But at the same time, Zachary Reese uh, is the favorite. He's the American. I like the fact that he's 3 inches taller. I like the fact he's got a better reach. I like the fact that he's a switch stance fighter. But both guys are capable of getting the finish. They're both very active on the feet. And, you know, we just got to take Zachary Reese here because you got to make a decision. Now, in the next one, these next three are going to get even tougher because you got Dustin Jacoby, American, taking on Bruno Lopez, Brazilian, 14-1. So you see, and you know how we are, right? You see the clothing line. Don't invite Brazil to the party. I mean, Lopez is 14-1, and he's the underdog. Are you serious? Let's get into this fight prediction right now. In the light heavyweight division at UFC Vegas 107, you got Dustin Jacoby taking on Bruno Lopez. Big fight here. Jacoby, American, lots of experience now. He's 20-9. Lopez from Brazil is 14-1. Jacoby's 1 inch taller at 6'3". He's 37. Bruno Lopez is 32. Jacoby 2 inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Jacoby 5.3 significant strikes per minute to 2.9 for Lopez. Now, in terms of the takedown game, Jacoby's not really going to go for takedowns, but Lopez can get like on average one per round. So that could be a problem for Jacoby, who's going to rely on the power. Jacoby 62% takedown defense, so the Brazilian's going to test that all day, every day. But Jacoby got in there against Vitor Petrino and got the KO in the third round. No takedowns given up. Before that, he lost to Dominic Reyes by KO, Alonzo Menafield by decision. He beat Kennedy Zachukwu by KO. So hard to figure this guy out right now, but that against Petrino, that's a big win. Lopez, 100% takedown defense. He won't even need that this fight. Coming off the win over Magomed Gazia Yasulov by decision. 5 takedowns and none in that one. Beat Mikel Sazi Niani, by second round KO. So he beat him. Lost to Brenson Ribeiro at the Contender Series, right? But we've realized how good Brenson is now. He got KO'd in the first. So this is going to be a highly interesting fight. The guy was 12-0 coming into the Contender Series when he lost to Brenson. Hasn't lost since. Came back, won 2 in a row. And this is a very tough fight to predict. You got to believe that Jacoby's got more experience in these situations. But at the same time, the Brazilian has shown that he can land takedowns. And Jacoby can't defend them too well. So Jacoby's got a good chance of winning this fight on the numbers. I'm worried about the takedown game, but I got to believe the experience and the power will take over. Who knows what Lopez is going to do? If he's smart, he doesn't even worry about the stand-up game. He just goes right in for takedowns. Relentless, nonstop. He can win the fight that way, but guys are playing mind games with themselves and believe they can stand up and strike with anyone sometimes. And if Lopez gets in that realm, he's going to lose. And that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on Jacoby and the experience getting the win here. I'd love to see him get the KO, but he's really just got to survive in this fight and defend takedowns at all costs. He'll do so. Well, I say 90% of the time. He's going to give up 1 or 2, but he'll defend some takedowns as well. In my opinion, to get the win to move to 21-9, light heavyweight division, UFC Vegas 107. We were clearly struggling with that prediction because, again, you got a Brazilian fighter. Don't invite Brazil to the party, right? 14-1. Why is he the underdog? So we really had to dig deep there. And then Jacoby's 37, right? But I look at 30 fights versus 15. He's got double the experience at this point in time. I am worried about the age, but he doubles them up in significant strikes, talking about Jacoby. And it just comes down to whether he can defend the takedown. I mean, if Bruno Lopez is smart, he just goes in for takedowns early and often. And then, Jacoby's going to have some problems here. But Jacoby defends the takedowns really well. Now, I couldn't wait to get to this next fight. Best division in the UFC, lightweight division. Mateusz Gamrot, 24-3. Ludovic Klein, 23-4. Poland versus Slovakia. Come on, man. Take my money, right? I mean, it's easy because this one you're just paying for the ESPN Plus subscription, but this fight could be on a pay-per-view card, and people would not say boo about it. I promise you. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into this prediction right now. In the lightweight division, your co-main event at UFC Vegas 107, you got Mateusz Gamrot taking on Ludovic Klein. Wow. And both guys with crazy records. Gamrot from Poland, 24-3. Klein from Slovakia, 23-4. Look out. Great fight in one of the best divisions in the UFC, if not the best. Mateusz, 3 inches taller, 5'10". He's 34, Klein 30. Klein, 2-inch reach advantage. Both guys fight southpaw or left-handed. Ludovic Klein, 3.8 significant strikes per minute, 3.2 for Gamrot. So you're looking at, you know, uh, 7 to 10 significant strike advantage for Klein. Now, the takedown game leans to Gamrot. He lands nearly 2 takedowns per round. Ludovic Klein, about 2 every 3 rounds. So Mateusz has the advantage in the numbers as far as how many takedowns he's landing. He also has a 90% takedown defense. Klein, 91%. So we're really going to find out who can defend takedowns in this one because they're going to be tested on both sides. Now, Mateusz lost to Dan Hooker by split decision. Crazy though, right? Almost pretty much equal in significant strikes, 64 to 65, 5 takedowns to none. Now, before that, he beat RDA by decision. Rafael Fiziev, that's a big one, second round KO. Wow. Jalen Turner, split decision. Everybody knew that was going to be a tough fight. And lost to Beneil Dariush by decision. But that was 2022 Beneil Dariush, right? He beat him now. But before that, he beat Arman Tsarukyan. So you see how tough this division is to figure out? He beats Arman Tsarukyan but loses to Beneil Dariush. Makes no sense. So that's where we're at with Mateusz. He lost the last fight, looking to rebound. Just depends on if he decides to show up in this fight or not. Ludovic Klein beat Roosevelt Roberts by decision. Thiago Moises, decision. AJ Cunningham, KO. Ignacio Bahamondes, that's a good one. By decision, he did fight Jai Herbert to a draw. You know, so really he's unbeaten since Nate Landwehr in October 2021. And gosh, this is just such a good fight. I mean, it really is. But I got to go with Mateusz Gamrot. I mean, he's coming off the loss. The guy has something to prove here. I mean, he's facing a great fighter who's very capable of winning. I mean, you really could flip a coin in this one. It's not that close in the odds, but you could really flip a coin. And this one, and when I flipped the coin, it landed on heads. And therefore, I got to go with Mateusz Gamrot. Of course, I'm joking. But, you know, the numbers and everything are so close. I like the takedown game for Mateusz. Can he break through the 91% takedown defense for Klein? I think so, but I think it's just going to be a back and forth, one of those great lightweight fights where the fight could end up standing most of the time. It could go to the ground most of the time. It could be back and forth. You're going to see takedowns defended, all that. So that's why I say it's like flipping a coin anytime in this division. But I like Mateusz to come out of this thing and win by decision to move to 25-3, in my opinion. Lightweight division, UFC Vegas 107. Yeah, so clearly a tough situation there to make a prediction. And I stand firm. It's like flipping a coin, man. I mean, it literally is like flipping a coin. This fight can go any which way. But I got to believe that Mateusz Gamrot is going to get the job done. I mean, I just have to believe that he's going to get the job done. Very close fight, though. And in all areas, I mean, takedowns, takedown defense, striking, all that. Everything's at play in the lightweight division. And you just don't like when a guy gets taken down and controlled, you're like, whoa, you know, because anything can happen. And when that happens, is a big variable that is playing out right in front of you. Just so many things that can happen. Guys that are supposed to win, lose, you know, with wild KOs. I mean, you go back to the Max Holloway, Gaethje situation. I'm not sure that a lot of people gave Holloway a chance moving up divisions. You just never know how this division is going to play out because you have certified strikers, you got certified grapplers and ground specialists, and then you have everything in between. And you got guys with great takedown defense just all over the board. So that's why that fight is special. And then you get into the main event, and that's a special fight too. Erin Blanchfield, 13-2, Maycee Barber, 14-2, USA versus USA. The women are highlighting this card. They're in the main event. And the co-main just helps push this thing even further because this is a fight that I think a lot of people want to see. So let's get into it right now. In the women's flyweight division, your main event at UFC Vegas 107, you got Erin Blanchfield taking on Maycee Barber. And both of these ladies have phenomenal records, right? Blanchfield 13-2, Maycee Barber 14-2. You can see why this is a main event. Now Barber, 1 inch taller at 5'5". She's 27, Blanchfield 26. Blanchfield has a 1 inch reach advantage, 66-65. She stands right-handed. Barber's a switch stance fighter. Blanchfield 5.3 significant strikes per minute to 4.7. So that's very close. You're only talking 4.7 for Barber, but it's close enough to where you're talking about 7 to 10 significant strikes over the course of the fight, not even a round, but over the course of the fight. So very close. Now, Blanchfield gets nearly 2 takedowns every 3 rounds. Maycee Barber gets 1 every other round. So potentially could get 2 in this fight. But Blanchfield 80% takedown defense compared to 53% for Barber. That's going to be a problem. Blanchfield coming off the win over Rose Namajunas by decision. You know, good fight. 110-94 in significant strikes, 2-1 in takedowns. Before that, she lost to Manon Fiorot, who just fought for the belt against Shevchenko and lost, but fought well. So that's her loss, right? In the last 4 fights, that's her only loss. She also beat Tyler Santos, Jessica Andrade, Molly McCann. And since entering the UFC, she came in with 6 straight wins, lost to Fiorot, bounced back against Namajunas. Barber, very similar. I mean, she lost some fights early on against Roxanne Modafferi. That's just because she was young at that time. Then lost against Alexa Grasso. So you're thinking, oh boy, right? She comes in, she wins 4 in a row, then loses 2, and you're like, maybe she hit the wall. But no, she didn't, because now she's won 6 straight fights, including the last 3 against Caitlin Seminara, decision. Amanda Ribas, that's a big one, 2nd round KO. Andrea Lee, split decision. Jessica Ai, decision. Montana De La Rosa, decision. And this is a tough one for me because I'm a Maycee Barber fan. I like Maycee Barber. Very capable of winning this fight. But I just believe that Erin Blanchfield is going to win this thing. And it's a crucial pick for us. We're 8-9 on the season. This is the next main event up. We need to get this to get back to 500 and get things rolling. So either way you go, it's taking a chance. But I like the fact that Erin Blanchfield has a little bit stiffer competition. I like that she's putting up slightly better numbers. I like that she's got better takedown defense. It just seems to me that she's more well-rounded. And when you look at this being a 5-round fight, those numbers are going to play out throughout the fight. So I like Erin Blanchfield to get the win. I don't know if she's going to get the finish. I think this thing goes to a decision. But Blanchfield outperforms Barber much in the same way she did against Namajunas. Close fight, but she's going to win 3 out of 5 rounds, in my opinion, to get the W here and move to 14-2. Women's flyweight division, UFC Vegas 107. So it's tough to go against Maycee Barber because I like her. I mean, I like Maycee Barber. I like Mackenzie Dern. I like Rose Namajunas, right? But I can't always predict them to win. I got to be realistic. I think Erin Blanchfield is back on a path to get to the title fight once again, right? She got up there and then, got dominated. Now she's got to go back to ground level and beat someone like Maycee Barber, win another one to get back into the discussion. So that's the way I see this going down. But again, with these main events this year, I would not be surprised if Maycee Barber pulled out the victory. I just wouldn't be. And that's not like hedging your bet or anything like that. I just would not be surprised one bit because this is a very close fight. Now, as we jump into the Q&A, you got Cobus Britz, I believe, says, this dude told us how Adesanya was going to school DDP. Yeah, right. And yeah, I mean, you could go and pull any fight prediction. We're going to be right about 60 to 65% of the time. But you're going to find some that we're wrong about. I also told you that Adesanya was going to get dominated by Jan Blachowicz back in the day, which is one of the biggest predictions ever in terms of views. And people told me I was absolutely crazy. None of us really, I mean, I don't know. None of us really know until it plays out, right? I mean, all we can do is tell you, hey, this is what it looks like. This is what I believe is going to happen. And then we just ride with it at that point. Al Tapo Mac Tapo, been around for a minute, says, yes, bro. So excited. A lot of people excited for this big fight, man. But at least we got one comment on something different, and that's Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein. Nova says, this is a tough one. I want to say Gamrot. Yeah, and that's where I'm leaning too, but it's a tough one. Very, very tough. You can go either way and be right, and you can go either way and be wrong. It just depends on how it plays out. Ryan Johnson says Hamza is definitely going to win against DDP. And it's been amazing because there's been a lot of DDP support because people like DDP, and there's a lot of people that don't like Hamza Chimaev. I'm not one of them. Haribo Master says, oh, look, we have another expert here. If you watch the fights against Usman and Burns, you know he's not too good. Okay. So you could say the same thing about DDP versus Derek Brunson, right? But then he had no surgery. His endurance is on a different level. He wins the title. Hamza was different. Against Burns, just throw that out because that was a welterweight fight. Against Usman, I think he was overtraining. I really do. I think he was overtraining for some of these fights. He got with a new camp, and he looks like he did back in 2020, 2021, when he was just dominating and running through people. He always had that in him, but you were seeing he was getting sick. He was pulling out of fights here and there. It's because he was overtraining. Now you get with new coaches that know how to bring him along. Sometimes you have athletes that you have to settle down. They want to overtrain for the big fights or the big competition, but you're already in shape. At some point, you got to be on cruise control and just maintain where you're at. You're not going any higher. And if you push your body too far, you're going to regress. And then you run into all types of problems. And I think that's what they were doing with Hamza. We don't have that problem anymore with the current coaches and management that he has. So now it's time to win the belt. Another one weighs in. Laugh out loud. People who even remotely think that Hamza has a chance of beating DDP, they clearly don't have any idea of how good DDP is. Okay, so I clearly understand how good DDP is. Let me put that on record again. Clearly, I want to put DDP up on Mount Rushmore, okay, in terms of the fight game. Let's put him up as high as you want because when Hamza wins, I want you to realize what Hamza did. So let's just go ahead and lift. I'm not here to say DDP is terrible, nothing like that, because I don't want to diminish Hamza's title victory. Let's put DDP way up there. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Another one weighing in. I don't know where all this Hamza negativity comes from. Finally, he is a champion soon. I couldn't agree more. But, when you have high-profile people like this, fighters, there's going to be some negativity along the way. Haha, like DDP tends to say, they don't know what we know. Okay? South Africans, we cut it off there, but South Africans are the best, more or less. They're ready. Okay? They're better than other fighters. I'd say the same thing about Brazilians at the top level. Unfished Tim P says, I am with you. People need to watch Derek Brunson fight with DDP, then tell me Hamza can't work DDP. I'm with you. Hamza is going to work DDP. But the Derek Brunson fight, I'm pretty sure that was before the nose surgery. And at that point in time, he was breathing out of his mouth. And if you're an athlete and you realize, I have this problem, I breathe out of my mouth a lot of times, and it's not good. You want to be breathing at least in through your nose, out through your mouth, whatever it may be. When you can't use your nose at all, it really is a problem. So DDP is fighting with his mouth open. And when you get, hit, that's going to take a lot of your breath away. That's going to slow you down. Your endurance is going to be lacking because there's certain times you need to breathe through your nose and you can't do that. So that was a problem. His endurance was a problem. Now it's not. Totally different fighter. Totally different fighter, which is why you're getting both of these guys at their best. I mean, it's just a simple fact. Both these guys are coming into this fight at their best. But this is what we can expect down the stretch. I mean, this is a fight that the people want to see. Everybody wants to see it. None of us really know how it's going to go till it happens. I'm very confident that Hamza Chimaev is going to win. But let's be real. This is for the title, okay? He's not fighting a slouch. He's at the top now. You can bring up Burns, Usman. You could bring up Derek Brunson for none of that matters. Khamzat Chimaev is not a fighter of the likes that DDP has ever seen, and DDP is not a fighter of the likes that Khamzat Chimaev has ever seen. So to use other fights really doesn't matter in this setting. Both these guys are better than any other fighter that either one has ever faced. So that's the big variable. But listen, we didn't tell you Khamzat is going to win the title for 5 years and waited through everything and never gave up on him despite missing weight against Nate Diaz, despite missing the fight with Leon Edwards. It never happened, despite missing the Robert Whittaker fight the first time. We have stayed strong. He's been number one on the do list since the beginning, and he'll remain that way through this title fight victory. And that's the way it's going to play out. But listen, it's been a great show. Until next time, this is your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.